can't wait for tomorrow's Reddit post to be, can we stop using the word literally? It is the caster's job to speak English correctly. And while I know all of the idiots out there have started using literally when they mean figuratively, I would expect better from our Starcraft commentators. Who else is in agreement? Anyways. We're in the finals for another best of 5 TvZ. Starting on Pillars of Gold. In the bottom left, there's the blue Zerg. He is Clash's Reynor. In the top right, as the red Terran, it is Clem. So, literally bringing up Reynor in the last series, forgetting he was in the finals, but now it is accidentally perfect, so that's great. If we see Reynor going into Lurkers, I think we'll see better use of it. Not that a laser used it extremely poorly, not at all. I'm not going to go back and analyze the differences of how one uses it versus the other, but we do kind of have to, like, generally admit, kind of a broad statement, that Reynor has been the best with it. That Reynor kind of brought along. It looks like he was one of the guys who actually wanted to push it back when it was still like a big question mark. You know, like, oh, is this a thing or isn't it? Back at like the Home Story Cup after the patch. And he is, you know, I guess you could argue, but you can't argue that he is the top 2 Zergs of Europe and top, I don't know, X number of the world, right? You could even argue that Reynor is the best of the world because he's won the most recent season finals with all of the regions participating. So, you know, I'm just laying out the facts here before people are like, actually, I think innovation is the best. And you're just like, okay. So, I do think that Reynor would be using them a bit better. Exactly how, I do think that a laser took some of the engagements a little bit too bold with some Lurkers. You know, we actually saw this from GSL recently, so GSL spoilers ahead, guys. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, press that mute button. Armani was also kind of like, his actual engagements with Lurkers was actually kind of questionable. I agree with Artosis. He was like, he doesn't look like he uses them that much. You know, the rest of the game's going well enough, but like, the Lurkers are kind of being used incorrectly. Hello, drone going down. Clem getting 2 units. Reynor, what is wrong with you? Anyways, that's kind of what I think, like, that's where Reynor maybe wouldn't. But I don't want to say that Reynor is the end-all be-all of mastery of Lurkers. I actually don't think we've seen someone being a master of Lurkers in TvZ yet. ZVZ, oh, I think we've seen a lot of it. I think we've seen enough. But TvZ, still kind of a developing style, even though it's really found a comfy place in the meta. But anyway, that's only if we see it, right? There's so many other things that can happen up until that point, including Hydras just as Hydras and Mutus. And while I don't think of many Zerg players as the type to go for Ling right into Ultra, that is also a possibility. You know what's funny about this, oh, we got an armory build, so I'll get this in quick. What's kind of funny about this whole conversation, right, is that I was accidentally being kind of an asshole. You know, I just really didn't think about it, but since I actually kind of know how to pronounce Korean words, my brother was like, you know, do you want some gochujang on that? And I was like, it's gochujang, you know, and he just looked at me and he was like, why do you do that? And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know. It's really not important. Like, I really don't have to do it. But while I think there's a lot of people out there who would actually be like, no, you're totally in the right to correct him. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think it matters. All right, so an armory build on the way, but this time Reynor actually going for an Overlord speed build, which a laser did not go for. Gets the deets. Gets the deets. Even before he sees the armory, he sees that something is up with the lack of third command center, builds a spine crawler, and tries to get more lings. Unfortunately, there's only so much he can do, even with that scouting. It was still fairly last second. So pulling drones away from the third, didn't really bother with that. Only gonna lose 2 of them anyways. Puts his queens all together, so they're not found out in the middle and just caught up. Now they're going to be huddled together, trying to micro back into hopefully a spine crawler. And you had to put it in a very safe place. And that safe place was the natural for Reynor. Gonna try and come in for a big ol' surrounds. Looks tempting, but the Hellbats are all still together and now off of creep. I don't think Reynor's going to force the issue. But what he did is force Clem to respect that. So Clem was like, alright, I'll walk off creep. Fine. Which means that Reynor can now push the spine crawler forward and he has plenty of chance fuse as well. Clem's gonna follow this up with Banshees, which is exactly what Reynor sees with his Overlord. Easy. Clem really wanting to get something done here. You know, while this hasn't technically been cleaned up, Reynor very quickly took account of what he could do, and then what he could do to buy time, and then what that time was when he felt comfortable. You know? He very quickly dealt with it, even though he didn't actually clean it up, right? So, unlike games where this can last forever, and like more and more lings get pumped out, and more larva's not used on drones, and the queens barely survive, but you know they were microing all damn day long. Reynor pretty much deals with it quickly. Goes back into droning. Starts up his upgrades a little bit late on that +1 melee. That's the only critique. And then Clem also kind of has to say, I guess I won't do damage here, and then also has to back up and then focus more on the macro than on the micro. So, a lot of, I felt like there was a lot of respect in those would-be engagements, you know, but they never actually happened. That drone that was saved from the Hellions, now a Spore Crawler that is very necessary indeed against the Banshees. Lair is done, Overseer's ready, and Queens are still happy and healthy and with lots of energy, so the Banshees really shouldn't do a whole lot. Fourth hatch is found, and that's always the sweet spot there for Banshees. It's not gonna go down, but you know, sometimes if anything were to go down, if anything huge would go down, it would be the fourth base. And actually finding a queen in the main. The queens with transfuse were a little late to the party. They were defending the fourth, so couldn't really get back to the main too quickly. A single drop, that is the Hellbat medevac, now with just a handful of Marines, because they have Stim, kind of threatening the queens. Not a drop that would usually be done by anyone, but if Reynor was only depending on queens, and thought he was only dealing with Banshees, you know, he might not be paying attention. Suddenly those 6-8 Marines actually get 1 or 2 queens killed. Reynor's fourth is up and running. His fifth base is on the way. He's got 2-2 just about to start. Clem was 1-1 finishes, but his combat shield seems like it was late. Generally, you see the combat shields finish with 1-1. We got a couple of Banelings looking to go for a Baneling bomb on top of Terran. You don't see that too often. Hellbats have transformed once again and are out right into that third base. Widowmine's Burrow going to get some okay connections. Just one of them actually got a connection. Reynor had to buy some time for the Banelings, but they are now done. This should be pushed back. Yeah, some digital hooks also finishing up. Oh, to grab most of the Marines. There's a mistake there from Clem. He was microing on the left side. And not well enough, by the way. All the queens still alive. And then also Clem not paying attention to his third. Oh, man. Sometimes you watch Clem against the non-Reynor Serals, and you're like, man, this kid is so fast. He's so good. Like, when does a Zerg even do anything? And then you watch him against the Reynor and the Serals, and especially Reynor, it feels like, and you're like, oh my god, no, they're both just insanely fast. Jesus. 17 SCVs went down right there. Very powerful blow. And combat shield's still not quite done. Has been a bummer for these engagements, but let's be real, the Baneling just got connections, so... Trying to keep the pressure up, but now he's going to make himself maybe open to his natural. Nope. Excellent defense. That's exactly what you guys want to do if you're having the same problem. Ling's going to the third, though, and, well, a couple more SCVs are going to go down. This also pulls Clem's entire army back, so he's got a single Banshee. Okay, going to find a couple of drones as revenge. No Spore Crawler over here, but it's not going to find as much as he would like. 7 SCVs went down to that one. Only 3 drones. Probably more like 6 before this Banshee goes down. And Reynor is once again setting up a run-by. Also setting up lurkers and an infestation pits. Supplies are still pretty even. And Reynor is down 30 army supplies, so there's still room for Clem to do some damage, but another run-by on top of a base. It's not quite a planetary, forcing Clem to respond. Is he microing back on the front lines? Yes, he is. Burrowing the Widowmine, splitting his units. Widowmine goes off on the Overseer. Not exactly ideal. And with all the Widowmines cleaned up, well, there's like an Overseer anyways. Baneling's trying to get their best connections. He actually splits some Marines. Did you see that? Wait, did you see that? Did I just imagine that? Did I imagine that he split some Marines into the Banelings? So usually when you split... Okay, you know what? I'll talk about it later. Ling's getting into the third once again. This time Liberator's trying to help out. And then actually a big counterattack. Straight up counterattack going down as Clem a little light in the units. A little light on the Widowmines especially. That planetary is still not going to happen. A good split away from that Widowmine. Not enough Banelings to kill this, I don't think. But it's still going to be forced to lift off. And Reynor is really trying to take advantage right now. He can't deal with the Liberators, and while Liberators aren't the best thing against Ling Baneling, they are certainly helpful. Better than nothing. Good target fire to the last second. His Marines behind his Marauders. Reynor is spending a lot of time over here, which means that he's just continuing to pump out creep spread, get up to his hive, and get to lurkers. Very scary position for Clem to be in. And then another Baneling drop over to that right side. That base is that big man attention. Clem, no! Stop it. He's already dead. He's not quite dead, but it's not great. So anyways, before the game goes on too long, but... So usually when you split, you know, I'll try and, like, mimic it. Usually when you split, you just usually go pretty fast, and you go, you know, like that. And you're always, like, right-clicking back, you know? Not too far back, because you don't want the Marines just to run away, but enough that they're splitting. I think what he did was split, and then he split forward, which I don't know. If you try to split, you'll see how hard it is. Like, especially at the last second, you know, without very much notice. It was impressive. More SCVs go down. Clem cannot get a stable economy. He scans and sees the very, very dreaded lurkers, and that's not a good sign. Gonna run away from the Ling Baneling, though. That's easy enough. No creep spread cleanup. That's not a great sign. Usually a sign of desperation from the Terran. He's gonna run over and get the Baneling nests, but is that the real problem right now? Splitting away on creep is only gonna work so well. He's trying to split his TARDIS, man. He's gonna try and make this work, but the Banelings still get the connections. And Clem is gonna have to tap out. GG. Reynor pushed back everything Clem had to throw at him. And then some. And that's the real kicker, is that he got the sum in there as well. Because if he didn't get those burrowed Banelings, if he didn't get those Baneling drops, then the game is very even, and perhaps even in Clem's favor. You know, with how even the supplies were for a long time, imagine if he didn't kill 20 SCVs and then another 16. He could have had a 20 supply lead, which is still very doable for the Zerg, but yeah, maybe you could even argue that even supply is not great for the Terran. Anywho. It would have been just a very even clash of two equally skilled players if it wasn't for the burrowed Banelings. Damn it, Baneling drops. I keep wanting to say burrowed Banelings because a laser got in my head. Damn it, a laser. Yeah, that was the extra kicker there. Pretty sick. Well, it's pronunciation talk. Have we discussed Van Gogh? It is actually pronounced like Van Gogh. Gog. Okay, well, that's just, you know... I agree with English speakers on that one. Van Gogh doesn't sound very good. Sometimes you just take words from you guys and improve it, honestly. Honestly, we just improve it. You should thank us. Please chill, you're doing the best you can, which is more than 5 out of 7 do. Do you think I'm actually, like, super upset about this? I think we're having a fascinating conversation. And then I'm the type of person just to rant for fun. I don't know, I guess I get used to a lot of like the usuals and the casuals being in my chat, that I just kind of like go off because it's kind of funny. But I guess some people think I'm actually angry. Alright, so in the bottom right, down 1. We're on submarine now. It is Clem. In the top left, it is Reynor. I think he's split in 3 or 4 directions simultaneously. You know, it's not even that... I can't even really... I don't think I'm quite describing how impressive it is. I'm not even sure it's that difficult to split in different directions. Not that I'm fantastic at splitting, but I think my bare minimum splitting has still gotten people to go like, whoa, wow, cool, you're actually good at splitting. I mean, kind of, but not really. It's that he was splitting and it was just 2 Marines too. And maybe that's what I should have added. It was 2 Marines. You know, usually it's about 4 or 5, depending on how good you are, and then those 4 or 5 become 2. But he was like split 2 and forward. And it's so fast, it's so precise. It's usually so much more convoluted, you know? Like suddenly you grab 6 Marines and you're like, oh fuck, they're all gonna die. And that's a scary thing about these, you know, especially the young guys, man. They're so fast. Is that they're fast and they're precise. And then usually you try as well. That's the other thing, is that you try to be cool. You're like, I want to be like Clem, and you try and do the same thing. And then the Ling Baneling just ignores your 2 Marines, and you're like, oh no. More important things to talk about. 3 Racks Reaper. Clem really changing up his styles, really changing up his builds. Doesn't want to be just a guy who's known for his multitasking. He's, you know, going into mech. He's going into battle cruisers. He's now going into 3 Racks Reaper. I mean, it's a short map, and it's wall offable with the barracks here. Now, Reynor sees it. He knows it. Here's what you do against it, guys. In the old days, talking about Bjorn again, when the Reaper, before the Reaper was nerfed, and Bjorn was honestly the best with it. He could be matched in his direct Reaper micro, but Bjorn was unmatched in, I think, his Reaper decision-making and his follow-up from Reapers. You would absolutely 110% just have to go into Ravagers, unless they fucked up. Nowadays, you really don't want to go into Ravagers. The Ravager response is old, outdated, it's slow, it's kind of crappy. You don't have to do it, don't do it. The new way of doing it, getting a decent number of queens. Minerals go to queens for the most part, everything else goes to lings. And then waiting for ling speed to finish up. And generally, that'll do it. That'll cut it. Unless the grenades are just absolutely perfect. So Reynor even kind of snuck in a couple of drones there, feeling quite confident. Maybe a little scared. Because he got a couple of grenades to the face, but he should be fine now. And the thing is that usually you don't want to make like so many lings, right? Especially if they don't take the correct engagement, that would suck. But you don't want to make so many lings because you're like, what do I do with them afterwards? Well, even though you can't break 3 barracks and a supply depot with a bunch of lings, you also won't have to worry about much follow-up. Well, depending on what you see, I should say that. I should be clear on that one. If they're going into a 3rd CC, then, you know, you deal with the Reapers, you deal with everything. It's fine. It's okay. If they're going to go into 2 extra barracks and go into 5 Reapers with +1, well, then maybe you want to invest into additional technology. So in this case, Reynor, I mean, he could still go for Roach's Ravagers because it is such a dedicated 5 racks. But I think a Baneling Nest would actually be better, or honestly just a lot of lings. I think he's just going to go for a lot of lings. I think he has dealt with this build in the past with mass lings. Because for a little while, I think Thermal was using it for a long time.
Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
And then Kelazur has always been a fan of this. There's the ling surrounds. You can try your damnedest to defend, to pop grenades, but with enough lings, it doesn't really matter. In that case, it wasn't quite enough lings. Clem was able to survive. But Reynor is now even pushing out his creep spread, going for a 3rd hatch. And that's stuff that Clem doesn't really want to let happen. Kind of awkward right now. Reapers go to the right, lings to the left. They were looking for the Reapers and missed them. Reynor, I'm just gonna stay back at home, actually. Wait for reinforcements, I think is what he's doing. Clem comes home to push them out of the way, though. Yeah, it's not enough Lings to do anything. But there's more Lings available, and the Reynor's also still mixing in drones when possible. His Overlord's not being killed. So he knows exactly how much he can push the envelope in that greed, if at all. And I think... I honestly wouldn't mind if this was all the drones he had. It seems bad, because he's only up 2 workers, right? But, I mean, this guy's really all in, with an army that is not going to get better. It shouldn't get better. +1's not done for the Reapers, and they are stuck in a corner, and if they all die... Does Clem still go on? I feel like... He's not going to tap out, apparently, but I don't see this going much better. I don't... Oh, but Reynor... Ooh, okay, well, hold on. Reynor going for a lair and more drones? That's how Clem would win with this. Reynor's like, aha, I killed all your Reapers, gotcha. And then suddenly 20 Reapers show up because it's like 7 racks. It's going up to 9 racks. Oh my god. Oh, man. Thank the original pod for the 3-month resub. Baneling Nest is finally on the way. The Baneling Nest, like, obviously the Banelings can't connect with the Reapers on their own, but, you know, if this had been available for this engagement, he would have lost, like, 6 Lings and then just used 2 Banelings to crash into him. Would have been so much easier to clean up. So I still think Banelings are a good call, and I guess they could even get centrifugal hooks. Reynor's also about to even up the upgrades. +1 for the Reapers, but then +1 Carapace for the Lings. And Reapers actually shoot twice, so the Carapace is even more effective, isn't it? You don't talk about that dynamic too much. Queens do have transfuse. They're not getting one-shot. Kind of an absurd number of Reapers, so maybe 20 would one-shot them. Surround. You don't want to pull the trigger unless you're 100% certain. And if you're not 100% certain, then don't do it. Like, you can still, you don't have to engage. Just because you think you're going to engage and you realize, oh shit, don't, doesn't mean you have to continue on with it. Lings are speedy. Lings are going to be able to escape if you make a mistake. So he's going to continue just being like, do I? No. Do I? No. Do I? No. And Clem is the one that's going to have to respect that and work with it, with Mass Reaper. At this point, Reynor could have actually gone for a Spire, by the way, and won the game, basically. Clem is adding on command centers right now, but I actually kind of like this. If this blocks even 1 barracks add-on, that would be worth it. I think right now it's even just a little bit cheeky, but... Guys, we're at 35 Reapers. Here comes the surround. Here we go, man. Submarine has a lot of pathways. He's gonna try and escape up the north, go to the east, but the surround still looks like it's gonna happen. Everything is beep-bopping around. This is the weirdest ant war I've ever seen. But apparently the blue ants are going to win. The fire ants are too bad. So sad. That's gonna be it. That has to be it. Clem, you cannot actually play from here. Stop it. You never added any tech labs. You're just gonna continue building Reapers. What? Now this is it, right? Come on. Alright, well, Reynor should get a Spire then, I think. A Spire would end the game. He's gonna go for the all-in. Well, can't even call it an all-in. He can do this as much as he wants. He's gonna go for the attack. He's gonna spend all of his gas on Banelings and hope that he just ends the game right here, right now. It might just happen. Reapers do have this nice little hop-up spot to always be safe away from the melee units. And most of the Banelings even die before hitting that supply depot, but what is it, 6 for a supply depot? Or 5 and then a 6th one, because one of them might die. And that is it. The natural has been broken. Clem has got his production camped. He's going to lose SCVs. He's barely holding on, but more Banelings are forming. And Reynor is on 4 hatcheries, just sending Lings across the map. I love the effort. I love the difference. But a lot of the top Zergs are actually totally fine against Reaper pressure now. GG. Cheeky cheeky. Doesn't work out though. Can someone tell Clem to not let euthermal play in his account? We would usually consider it a euthermal thing. Or maybe a Kelazur thing. The North American one is starting at the same time as usual, so funnily enough... Or no, it's not. Okay, phew. I was worried. I was like, we're over it then. Now let's push back an hour as well. Why no reactor? Well, I mean, that was a bit of a troll build after the first 3 racks. You know, the 5 and 7 and 9, which is kind of... Yeah. The problem with building reactors is that they take a very long time to finish. And the idea with the Reaper, 3-rack Reaper build is that you're providing consistent pressure. You're always showing up with more and more Reapers. So they're like, 3's not bad, 5's not bad, ooh, 7's kind of bad, ooh, 9's kind of scary. And if you wait for a reactor, it just doesn't snowball at all. Not that it snowballed there, but... Would have been even worse if you had waited for reactors. But you can build barracks without interrupting your barracks production. Oh, that's what I was going to look up. I was actually going to look up if they're in the same group for DreamHack. I didn't think they were, but now I'm thinking about it. Clem could be intentionally trying to hide strats. You know, I don't see him using that 3 racks very often at all. Ever. But I don't know. As it is right now in the matchup, it is more about what the Terrans can hide and then pop up with than it is about what the Zergs are hiding as far as builds go. Not that Zergs don't hide builds and play styles, but yeah, it's definitely more of a problem for the Terrans and the Zergs of the world. Oops, didn't mean to do that. No, fix it. Okay, we're getting a proxy racks now, I guess, but he's seen by the Overlord, so it's like, never mind. Just kidding, not there. Going back. Didn't he see that Overlord? He did. Oh, it's already ruined. I don't even think Clem saw that it was... I don't even think Clem saw the Overlord. I thought he did because he moved his barracks back, his Reaper, his SCV back, but... No. This is awkward. This is so awkward. He's going to be so committed to this. This is a 3 racks. And it's just not going to work. Reynor went for a gas and a pool as soon as he saw the SCV with his Overlord. There you go. So, a Roach Horn is actually on the way. I thought Reynor was going to go for a hatchery, but either that or I was just imagining things. Either he was and decided not to, or I imagined it. He's actually going to go up to a Roach Horn. So this is, as we've learned, a direct counter. The only thing that goes... It has to go extremely wrong. The only way that this doesn't work for Reynor is if he laughs in the face of danger. And is like, I'm just going to build 2 roaches because I think I'm going to win. And then there's like no reason to do that because he's the one... He also has to make roaches to go across the map and win the game. Theoretically. I mean, Clem tapping out at this point wouldn't have been surprising either. He gets into the main and sees a Roach Warren. Make the best out of a bad scenario. You can start your gases, plural, yeah, because you just don't... You won't get it fast enough gas from one refinery to help you. And then bring all of your units back and lift up your barracks, but... generally what we see is someone just bulk up all of their Marines and then try again. You know, just like, oh, I hope they fucked up. But since it wasn't a 4 racks, it was quote unquote just a 3. I guess he's gonna try and play this out And do keep in mind that Reynor is also, you know, committing a lot to this strategy. But now that he's gotten into the main base to see double gases, Reynor is only going to go for a handful of roaches and is going to take guys off of gas and is going to go for an expansion. And now it's Clem's turn to try and get a surprise in here. So Clem's going to push away the Overlord and keep any more units from getting into the main base because he's going to want to hide that he's doing this. But then Reynor scouts that he's doing this, and I don't think this works anymore. Ay, ay, ay. Hey, he gets a Ravager, that's nice. Well, we've seen him try this before. Let's see if it works this time. Marauder Slow has started, because that's the only upgrade you could really feasibly get. I mean, maybe combat shields? No, I mean, combat shields and stim just takes far too long. So yeah, Reynor. I mean, it is kind of weird to defend against this sometimes because your economy is also so interrupted from your initial response. But you got a couple things going for you. You got high ground, you got Corrosive Bile on top of the range of the Ravager. Queen Transfuse, I think might be worth holding up if he had a second queen, but he doesn't. He's hitting before Concussive Shells, but he's got to be careful. Already lost a Ravager, and now with Concussive Shells being done, he could easily lose one or two more. Gonna go back up to that high ground. Spinecrow is going to finish. Queen does not have any chance to use. I'd say even a handful of slow lings would be worth it here if he had the larva. But here Roach also would work. Just produce basically. Now with the Marines here, lings wouldn't really help much at all. Spinecrawler not in position to help the hatchery makes this extremely awkward. He's gonna move that forward a tiny little bit, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Reynor's gonna be forced to engage on top of this. That is a lot of Marauders. That is a damn decent amount. Now we got a couple lings on the way, but did Reynor mishandle the follow-up? Is this actually going to work? Holy hell. Oh my god, he's gonna get the hatchery. Is it enough though? I think it is. Clem could go on who... He could... No. Wait, no, well... Marauder's starting to be pushed back. With the Marines mostly gone, the Lings are once again going to soak up very important shots. If Speed was finishing, I'd be like, oh, no chance, tap out immediately. But with Speed only just starting, maybe Clem can play this game out. He's getting a factory, and he could even afford a command center as soon as he stops producing. If he took guys out of gas, I think he'd also could produce a command center. There he goes! Produces a command center on location. Now that's a bit bold. That's kind of, Huh. Well, Reynor is close to getting up to a hatchery, but he's going to lose another Ravager. His Corrosive Biles really haven't done anything for him. Spinecrawler is still here, but even that will fall pretty quickly to this many Marauders. Ling's going for right now a very, very slow counter, but they're going to find a very, very undefended natural command center, and Clem was just too greedy. Oh my god, he should not have put that on natural. No. That's a pretty big catch there for Reynor. He saw it with the Overlord and took his chance. It worked, I think, favorably for him. He lose a Ravager for it, but I think it's alright. And now he's going to have speed, which is a very big difference as well. Clem needs the Hellions. And even with Hellions, he's going to have to wait until he has a good 4 or 6 before really feeling confident to go out on the map. Speedling's taking the engagement against the Marauders. Looks a little bit awkward, honestly. The ratio wasn't quite there to make it a convincing fight for Reynor, but he does still win outs. Calls the number of Marauders low enough that the Ravagers are now bullying them back. And the Ravagers, at current count of 3, will bust down most important units with the Corrosive Bile. So even if there was a tank available, it'd be pushed down. If there's a Liberator available, it'd be torn down. It's going to take them a little while to tear down the supply depots, but 3 is kind of that magic number. Got the Overlord here, going to try and grab that one Marauder. He really wants it. Gonna tap it, tap it. Not quite. Ling's coming in now. Reynor's on 2 bases again, building a couple of drones. And he thinks he might have an opportunity to win the game. A supply depot goes down. But a Cyclone pops out, and that might just save the day. Trying to micro, both of them trying to micro their hearts out. Jesus. Cyclone's gonna win, it looks like. Last Marauder gets taken down with the last breath of this Ravager. My god. And the Cyclone's gonna take out the Overlord as well. Command Center floats over. A Banshee is on the way alongside a tank. So right now, Clem is safe. And with how weird and wonky this game has gone, I'd say you're pretty much not worried about Mutas. Don't think it'll be happening. Unless Reynor was Bly, and then maybe Bly would have gone for extremely low income 2-base Spire. Reynor, though, did go for a third hatch, double evolution chamber, and Jesus, where are we right now in this game? Clem is going to be missing a lot of aggression, right? He doesn't have Hellions, he just has a single Cloakless Banshee, so he's going to be missing a lot of that control in the mid-game, meaning that Reynor should be able to build a decent economy. But Clem is already halfway done with his third CC, so... Man, imagine if he hadn't gotten the cancel on the natural CC. It feels like Clem would actually be so far ahead. This game is weird. Since it's not cloaking, I think Reynor can now be confident it's not cloak. Still gonna invest into at least a Spore Crawler? Okay, he's got 2. Single engineering bay from Clem. And he's on 3 CC, so I think eventually we'll see a second engineering bay. The oddest little move out right now. I said he wouldn't have any aggression, but how silly am I? He is actually gonna move out here. And Reynor didn't see it, but Reynor sees a Cyclone now. He's already building 12 Lings. He might want to build a couple of more. Barely saves that one Queen. Nicely done. This one, no, not as lucky. Body block, body block, body block! Clem, stop playing Warcraft. Quit it. But with a very injured Banshee, a now injured Cyclone, and a very ragtag group of units that just really doesn't stand up to a decent number of Speedlings, Clem pulls back, and I really like that. I think that is a very good move. Overstaying his welcome would have been much worse. He got Reynor to build the units, now he pulls back. Reynor's going to try and use his units like he would to try and run by and keep tabs on the Terran army, but he, yes, would have rather have droned during that entire thing. Now he gets back into it. Lair's halfway done. 1-1 is about to finish, and that is Reynor's strongest lead right now. In fact, right now, it's kind of his only lead. His creep spread is passable, might be the correct word there. His drone count is... Actually, his economy is worse than his opponent, who is about to have 3 orbitals. So that's not a lead. Oh, no, it's just really the upgrades. Double drop right into the mineral line is going to get a cancel on a 4th. And even with the Ling upgrades, you just can't take on Marines in that position. You just can't. In come the Queens, how about though? Alright, gonna force this away. +1's almost done for Clem, so we'll be a little bit better off against the Lings, but yeah, you don't want to really be taking these fights without combat shields. Reynor's still on a pretty damn low economy. 4th hatch back down and building. When he needs drones, still on his 3rd, actually. Tech Lab drawing some of the fire, funnily enough. It's still enough Lings to force the lift off, as long as it is a lift. Lings are not going to see a decent number of tanks. And with the 16 Marines, a scary number of Marines. I'm not sure that Reynor can hold this, actually. He's not going to have 2-2 or centrifugal hooks. Well, that +1 Carapace could help him. I mean, he's not going to have much creep spread. And pushing into this position on Lightshade is kind of awkward for the Terran, but I think his numbers are just too great. The slow Banelings are so sad right now. He's going to have to cancel his base and go elsewhere, but that is also pretty brutal. I can't believe Clem's going to win this game. This is so weird. So weird. Tank's not siege, but Banelings are slow. And that is that. GG, Clem. Oh, wow. Clem takes game 3 after a failed 3 racks. The follow-up was too good. I think if Reynor... I guess Reynor should have, as soon as he saw that tech labs were being added, I think he should have started Ling Speed. Yeah? I think. It's difficult to say, though, because I'm not sure that Ling Speed would have been done before the push. If a Spine Crawler was in position, then maybe that. I don't know. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, I don't think we'll be seeing a game like that again. Moving on to Death Aura. For one of our longer open cups. In the bottom right, he is Team Liquid's Clem. In the top left, as the Red Zerg, it is Reynor. I guess just mishandling the play there. If maybe he had seen... Maybe he shouldn't have built as many roaches as soon as he realized his opponent was going to fall back. Because I was like, oh, I guess he's not going to build roaches, or he doesn't have to. But then he kept on doing it, and I was like, well, I guess he'll attack, so okay. Well, what if he doesn't build any roaches there, and instead invests 100 in his speed at that moment? Then it's definitely done before the Marauder Slow hits. Maybe if he had... cleaned up the... Could he have cleaned up the barracks with his roaches and ravagers? I don't know about that one. No, I think as he saw... I think that might be it. I think as soon as he saw that Clem was going to retreat with his Marines, maybe he should have started speed. But that... I was at a point where there was no guarantee that that Clem was going to go into tech labs. That was at a point before he had scouted the main, so... I don't know, man. I don't know. That was weird. We have seen Terrans try that follow-up before, but I think they also maybe engaged a little bit more and lost more Marines before they tried that follow-up, and that might have been a really big difference that Reynor wasn't used to dealing with. Reynor's going to go for a pool first, but it was pool hatch gas, so very defensively minded, I think. Of course, you're going to use it to build Lings and get a halted command center. But since Clem went from regular macro game to 3 Racks Reaper to 3 Racks Marine, I think it is time to be a little scared of what they could be doing in the future. So Reynor's early pool is scouted. Now for Clem, that makes a lot of sense for him to scout because he has just put the fear into Reynor's heart. And if you're going to build a spawning pool first, then you're going to want to use it for some earlier Lings. So I really like his SCV scout. I don't think Reynor's going to do anything more nefarious with an early pool, but just knowing where to keep your Reaper. In this case, he uses the Reaper aggressively, having the confidence that there's only going to be so many Lings attacking into his natural. Actually, a little overconfident, maybe. It's 1 Marine, and 4 Lings will tear that down. So the SCVs are pulled immediately to help out the Marine, and ideally don't use any SCVs here. Nice save on the SCV. The Reaper is going to be forced to return home, and there is a halt on that command center. Stop. There's a you're not building quite yet. Oh, just kidding. He actually pulls an SCV apart and is going to get that started. Lings in the main, Lings in the natural. Ling in the natural will not get the SCV. Lings in the main. Want this one right here. Well, they want it. They want it. They want it. Not going to grab it, though. Hot diggity damn. These guys. The micro, the moves. Thank you very much, Plague of the Earth, for the gifted sub. Fusion core. So he did trip Laser up with this, but that was also off the 3rd CC. Now, I still think it's going to be kind of a surprise for Reynor. I think it was extra surprising to see the 3rd CC into this because we were so used to the new 3rd CC 211 thing. Maybe Reynor will be a little more on guard, even though battlecruisers in general have really fallen out of the meta. Barely not grabbing either one of those units. Yeah, I saw the starport produce on 1 or 2 bases, but can't really get back in there to see the fusion core. He's gonna get a Baneling nest, so right now he is thinking of the Hellbat possibility. Otherwise, he'd held off on that one. It is not the correct response right now. So Cloak should start as a fake. He can't afford it, though. He needs to get the battlecruiser immediately. Alright, so that's a little suspicious, then. Reynor... I think it's a Raven, but doubtful. Only very few Terrans are doing that. Excuse me. And regardless of what it is, I mean, Spore Crawlers are going to be helpful. If it's a Cloakless Banshee, if it's a Battlecruiser, if it's a Raven, if it's a Liberator and the Tech Lab's a total fake, like... Spore Crawler is going to be the safest thing right there, so I do think he knows. I do indeed think Reynor knows. He's going to have 7 queens... Oops, 6. She just popped as I checked. 6 queens and a couple Spore Crawlers. When it's only 1 battlecruiser, that's all you really need. But now the follow-up is going to be a little more important. Is it going to be in bio in or not? He saw a tech lab out onto the barracks. He didn't see, I don't think he's seen recently the natural gases. Not really enough information to say it's mech or not. The Reynor also could just be predicting bio, as Clem is generally a bio player. He wasn't that one game versus a laser, but that was a surprise. Oh, Baneling's hitting a little bit on top of the Hellions. Actually not helping as much as they would have liked. Just so many Hellions. 2 more going to be grabbed, 3 more going to be grabbed, but still leaving. Nope, actually 5 in total left over. Reynor's going to be forced to split up his drones. And that is going to be a lot of barbecued drone. Battlecruiser was pushed off at the very least, but the Hellions have done their job fairly well. And I do say fairly. I mean, 10 drones probably would have loved for it to be more like 15. Or even 20. But 13 drones now as the battlecruiser comes in. Considering that Clem made 10 Hellions, was it? There's not going to be much pressure coming up from Clem beyond this, especially because it is only 1 battlecruiser. In fact, this is a bit of a problem. Not quite. Just enough there for Clem. Just enough? So this is the tank, though. And a couple of SCVs went down. Reynor adds on a 4th hatch and has gone straight up into that spire, so now seeing the composition down here. If you didn't know already, just from the signs, just from Clem's usual play, definitely knows now it is bio. And while that spire could have definitely been like a, oh shit, what if it's more than 1 battlecruiser, I think it is also part of his plan just to go into faster spire. It's not really that fast, because things happened prior to it. He had to clean up the Hellions, clean out the battlecruiser, but it is spire before 1-1. Battlecruiser just walks his way in here, man. So brazen. Mutas aren't really there to take on the battlecruiser, but they will. Really, if it's necessary. Nope, they're supposed to get across the map. Yeah, a couple Banelings do connect on those Marines. I think he wanted to target fire against them, but then realized there was going to, he's gonna run out of room. And that battlecruiser is going to fall. It kills 1 of the mutas, but the next 2 weak ones are transfused. And now Reynor can kind of take over the map again. 8 mutas is not that strong of a count, and Clem is almost ready for his follow-up push. One starts up for Reynor, but he is severely behind on that one. I mean, yeah, it wasn't that quick of a spire. And it being behind the upgrade still doesn't make it great. It actually just means that both things relate. So Clem's already on his way to +2 attack, drilling claws by the time Reynor starts his 1-1. 2 mutas get bopped by a kind of squad of Marines off to the right. things don't look that pretty for Reynor, honestly. I mean, I still kind of wonder if that was enough drone damage, but looking at the way that Reynor has, I guess, recovered from it, it does seem like it was enough to put Clem in a really good lead. This is a very strong push for Reynor to deal with. He's at 85 workers, so if he does deal with it, he'll have quite the economy, but can he? Tank's going to try and take the brunt of those Banelings. They do not connect on top of the Marines. The concave is too good, and Clem really fighting back right now. More Banelings are available, and more are being made, so I think Reynor will eventually push this back. A little scary. When your Banelings really don't connect at all with the Marines, you immediately go into the oh fuck moment, but he had backup Banelings. Actually, Muta's jumping on top of the tank, grab one of them. Gonna take care of the second one as well, and the Marines are forced to retreat. Wouldn't mind though. I mean, last second split, still always gonna grab at least one Muta, right? One Wouldn't Mind kills one Muta, 4 Wouldn't Minds kill all Mutas. And Clem is forced to push back. Very scary moment when all those Banelings got killed running through the middle of those tanks. That was the scariest moment, but Reynor hangs on, and now he can utilize his 83 workers, get up to 5 bases, finally finish up his 1-1, which is still substantially later than Clem's upgrades. And perhaps most importantly, go into Muta harassment and creep spread. Now, the Mutas have taken a couple of hits here and there. 4 in total have gone down, but he's up to 14. It's starting to get to a decent number indeed. Clem comfortable on 4 bases, starting to get on Thor's. He's gonna finish his 2-2 and ideally go right into that +3 attack. He is so much faster than Reynor. He's trying to track the Mutas, it looks like, and catch them. Not gonna do so though, not gonna catch him. And Reynor's gonna invest into that +2 flyer attack, so not very quick into an infestation pit at all. Perhaps as he's maxed and has a little bit more of a bank to work with, and they'll feel comfortable doing that. Oh no, actually doing it right now. As soon as he had 150 gas, he slapped that down. It'd be kind of scary to do that. Clem is also maxed out, and Clem's gonna have a push, and you want to make sure you have enough to replace Banelings. Enough gas, that is, but it looks like just by being on guard against Clem's push, Reynor's already kind of dealt with it. Muta's in the main base, gonna find an unfinished missile turret. Lots of reactors, maybe even a straight up barracks. That would be nice. All those medevacs. Only one goes down, and there's plenty of them, but that was a little scary. Banelings rolling. Now they're setting up to tear down these supply depots. Maybe not anymore, though. What am I on the left side looking for exactly this? A little bit of a run by. Reynor sees it and deals with it. Of course he does. Clem's army is ready to engage. I'm surprised you don't see a sensor tower around one of these bases. Seems like it would be really important. That's a lot of Mutas. Hot damn. The rest of Reynor's army comes back too, and that's not all of Clem's army. Clem was trying to engage on 2 different sides, catch Reynor halved at that army supply, but instead he gets his half of the army caught. It gets swallowed up, and the other half of his army is coming in really late to the party, and this was not a good attack at all. I could see what he was going for, though. You know, he thought he had half of the army chasing on the left side, but Reynor's army is still more mobile even to the Terrans. He's able to catch up, able to envelop, able to now initiate a counterattack, and Clem's scan that top right base kind of feels like a tap-out scan, honestly. The, well, how screwed am I scan. The answer is pretty screwed, but not because of that base. Lings and Banelings and everything in his main, and Reynor takes a 3-1. Ultimately making him look like so much better than Clem, which is quite astounding. I mean, Clem had a pretty good push, you know? He had a good push to the left side.